All right, this is Rocky, but it's not spelled R-O-C-K-Y. Who's he named after?
Rachmaninoff.
There we go. All right, and this is his roadmap to success. Now, as I talked about in the video above, he is exhausted. He gave up on trying to get in the kennel because I closed the door to try to keep him out to work with him, but he's not motivated to do anything. So in this video, I'm gonna go over a lot of the stuff I normally would go in the session doing with the dog. If you're not having luck doing any of these things, please message me. I have videos where I've done it with other dogs, and so I'm happy to share them with you if you have any questions on any of these things, so please let me know. So one of the first things we're gonna talk about is the drop. He has learned that he can steal things and run away and get mom to chase him. And that's a fun game for most dogs, and Rocky really likes it. So what we want to do is we want to teach our dog to drop. We want to first teach them to drop with what we call low value items. When he has a bird, that's a really high value, and he really had to work to get that, or shoes or other things along those lines. You want to get up now, Rocky, or you're going to turn around? How about we crash? Can you lay down? Yeah, I know you're exhausted. It's like, I don't want America to see me. Well, we'll wake him up at the end. So basically what you do is you have I would get the chicken pot pie or the Chipotle chicken that we talked about, because he's not super treat motivated. Remember, when it comes to food, the temperature of the food, the smell is the most important, the temperature is the second most important. So get something that's really stinky and warm, and it should really trip his trigger. All right, so what you want to do is when he has a low value item, one of the toys he's allowed to have at any point in his mouth, not holding it, but just exclusively in his mouth. You pull out one of the high value training treats and you touch his nose with it and just hold it right within an inch of his nose. Anytime you're giving a treat, you want to try to keep that treat within an inch, maybe 2 inches of the dog's nose to really keep them captivated. So he's going to try to take it with the object in his mouth at first. Just hold it, and again, don't tell him to do anything. Dogs will do association, repetition, and good timing. You have 3 seconds to correct or reward the dog for them to have the understanding of what it is they're being corrected or rewarded for. So you're just waiting, and as soon as he spits the thing out, you pop the treat in his mouth, don't show any interest or pick up the object that he dropped. And then say the word drop after it goes in his mouth. So you hold it here, he drops it, put it in his mouth, drop, and then walk away. And then he gets to pick up the original item. So what we're teaching him is if human asks you to drop, if you drop, they'll give you something better than what you have, and then you get original stuff back. That's a pretty good deal. Now, if he does have something that you have to take away from him, then you want to do a trade. At that point, I would have a bully stick or a marrow bone or something that you have in reserve for these special occasions. And maybe a bully bite if you've already given him a bully stick. And so that way, he's getting something of equal or greater value. You want to practice this in different parts of the house, all over the place, and after a while you say drop and he'll just spit it out for you because he knows he's going to get something good. The more you try to take it out of the dog's mouth or snatch it away, snatching implies that I don't think it's mine. So I have to take it quickly before you can steal it away from me. So when I pick it up, I just pick it up very casually. But again, when you're doing the drop, you don't want to pick it up at all, so he learns that you're not interested. If you're interested, then if he retains it, he can get you to chase him. Now, I also want to go over fetch, which is a wonderful way to exercise a dog. Now, do we have to pull so he will fetch in the house, but he will not fetch outside. He just runs away. So that's where some of the other things that we've talked about off camera, which I'm going to summarize here, are going to help, because we're going to flip the dynamic. I would like, whenever possible, for him to come to the person as opposed to the person going to him. Now, if we're following through, that's different. If I tell the dog to come and it doesn't come the first time I say it in an excited voice the second time. So I might say come, the dog doesn't come. Actually, we're going to say here. And the dog doesn't come, then I would say here in kind of a high-pitched voice. That usually attracts their attention. If that doesn't work, then I'm going to hold my hand up like this, and I'm going to say, make a kissing sound or say it in a high-pitched voice again. And as soon as the dog looks at me, I'm going to start lowering my hand. The lower you go, the more appealing or accessible it is for the dog. So don't start lowering it until the dog looks at you. So you make a kiss, and he looks at you, start lowering it. And usually the dog will come over to you. If he doesn't come for that third time, then what I do is grab a leash and go out to get him. Now, important when you go to collect him, you don't do it aggressively or frustratingly, because that's just going to cause him to run away. Just basically grab the leash, walk over to him very casually, and when you get to him, attach the leash, don't correct or offer any reprimand, and bring him inside. You want to let him know that, look, this is so important to me, I'm going to stop what I'm doing and get my way. The problem is we have a house with several kids, and it's hard for mom to do just momming, let alone doing this. But for about a week or two period of time, I want you to get in the habit of strictly following through 100% of the time, so he understands, red shirt guy came and things have changed. The humans are going to follow through 100% of the time and get their way. So either I'm going to do it now or I'm going to do it later. Why don't I just do it now, and then I can go to do what I want to do later. But if you don't spend that 2 weeks following through consistently, he's going to keep on pushing the boundaries. All right, so for the fetch, when I play fetch in the house, we want to assign the command words for it. When I throw the ball, I say fetch. When the dog picks the ball up, I say fetch. And when the dog comes over to me, I hold the treat out. And then when it drops it, I pop it in its mouth and say fetch. After a while, all three of those kind of conflate the individual stages of the fetch. Now, dogs, just like us, have sometimes moods. I feel like fetching. I don't feel like fetching. Well, when he comes up to you and he's dropping balls, he's saying, I'm really in the mood. If we have a DVR, pause the TV and spend 5 minutes fetching with him while he's interested in it. That way, later on, when he's quasi-interested, he's got enough excitement and fun out of that exercise where he's willing to do it again. But again, teach the drop first. You don't want to ever pull the ball away. That's primarily why a dog will run away from you when it has an item in its mouth. So teaching the drop first is really important. Because he is, this is the antithesis of his normal behavior. He is normally a high energy dog. He's a boxer. He's a boxer puppy. They're very high energy dogs. And so we need to deplete the dog's excess energy to put him in a position to succeed. So one of the things I recommend the guardians do is start an exercise journal for about 2 to 4 weeks. Just get a spiral notebook, write the date at the top for a new page every day, write down the times on the left, and then the activity on the right. Now, there's different activities that you can do. Most of us think about as walking our dog as a primary form of exercise, but it's not really very efficient. If you are going to walk him, I would make sure that we put a dog backpack on him. It's basically a harness that has 2 pockets here where we can put bottles of water or sand or whatever it is. Now we're making the walk more efficient. We're also giving him a job. So that kind of helps the dog stop dilly-dallying around with other stuff and focus on just carrying stuff. Now, walks are okay, but right now the guardian's taking him for an hour walk. I would rather see for him maybe 3 20-minute walks sprinkled throughout the day, augmented by a couple other activities. I pulled out a laser. He really showed interest in chasing a laser. That's a good exercise for him as well. Now, we have a nice place here. So maybe we have a certain revolution or a certain length of time that he actually is doing the laser. Another opportunity it would be to go to the top of the stairs here with one of the treats that he likes, and don't give him the whole thing. Tear it into little pieces, a little bite-sized piece so he gets about 2 or 3 bites. Throw it to the bottom of the stairs. Now, anytime a treat goes in the dog's mouth, it should hear the command word immediately after it goes in the mouth. So I'd be at the top of the stairs with the dog, touch his nose with the treat, then drop it off the stairs. He runs down the stairs to get it. When he licks it up, come up with the word like lobby, and then ask him to come back upstairs and maybe call it penthouse. And so when he comes up, give him another treat and say penthouse. The first time you do it with an empty stomach and do it as many times until he stops coming up down the stairs. And I count each up, down, or down, up, in this case, as 1. And so figure out maybe 43 up downs is the maximum. And he's like, I'm wiped out. And then we get this energy. So then maybe later on we'll maybe do 12 or 15 up downs, not quite half of his energy or his maximum. Unless we have some people coming over, then we might get him a little bit more exercise. So that would be another way of exercising. Another thing would be scent games. Basically, my knees are going to go to sleep if I continue kneeling. So we put him in the other room and we hide 5 treats and we bring him in. We say hunt, and each time he finds one, we say hunt or the prize. If you just Google scent games, there's books on it, but you can find a couple articles online just by searching Google. It makes him use his brain, which is very mentally draining for dogs. It's a great thing you can do when they're inside. It's supposed to rain next week, so that might be a good time to practice that. And then basically write down the time and however the number of repetitions or the length of the exercise was. If he has an incident where he steals some food, or he doesn't come back, or he runs out, or whatever, write down the time and then like a sentence or 2 about what he did. Also write down when you feed him, and you might want to write down pooping, because we're going to talk about pooping here in a sec as well. And then at the end of the day, give him a letter grade, A through F. And maybe everybody in the family gives him a letter grade. And then we see from everybody's different perspective how they think the dog behaved. The next day, we want to play with the elements. Give him a couple more repetitions or add in an extra exercise or 2 until we get to the point where the dog's behavior is like an A+ behavior from everybody. Now we know what we need to do, and the exercise journal will also allow you to determine, you know what, every time it's longer than 3 hours before we exercise him, that's when he steals food. And so now we'll just start exercising him every 2 hours and 45 minutes, maybe make a chart for the kids to help out with that. And they just go up to the top of the stairs and do 10 up downs real quick. That shouldn't take you more than 2 or 3 minutes. You don't have to go for a walk. It's really easy. You can do it in the house. You deplete his excess energy. He feels much better. One of the problems that he has is counter surfing. And that means stealing food off the counters. And so it's a boundary issue. That's why the video we have above on the leadership exercise will help him practice respecting invisible boundaries. And if you have questions about that or respecting invisible boundaries, please message me. I have a bunch of videos that can help with that. But for the counter surfing, it's a self-rewarding behavior. Every time I jump up and I grab a waffle, then I get to eat the waffle, and well, I'm going to do that again. That was fun. So what I do is I create a stage scenario as a dog behaviorist where I recreate the situation where the dog failed, and I can allow the dog to learn on his own not to do something. So in this case, what I would do is get an aluminum spaghetti colander, about 8 or 10 empty soda cans, some silverware, a piece of string about 2 feet long, and a bagel, or pizza crust, or anything else that would be on the counter that would be appealing for him as a dog. Go to the edge of the counter, put the spaghetti colander, fill it up with silverware and the empty soda cans, tie the string to the colander, and tie the other string to the bagel, or whatever it is. And then only do this when you're in the room, when you're nearby, not necessarily in the room. So maybe watch TV, we're sitting at the table, and he's gonna come do a sniff by, then he's gonna come by and grab it. When he does, he's gonna trigger all the sound of that stuff crashing on the ground, which is probably gonna spook him. He's gonna run out of the room. When he does, you come back in, you set it all up, you don't say a word to him. What you're saying is when you get on the counter, you know, a catastrophe occurs. And I'm not me, I would let you on the counter, man. I don't have a problem with it. And that way the dog learns that behavior is unwanted, not don't do the behavior when the humans are around. We also, because he likes to chew and destroy some things, we want to look at getting him some chew toys. Now, he has a bunch of chew toys. He likes to destroy plushies, which is pretty normal for a dog his size. I'd like to see the Guardians have some antlers, some real bones, water buffalo horn or 2. Now, water buffalo horn, they look like a horn. Make sure it's not solid, what's the word? Make sure it is solid. Saturday, I'm not thinking that clearly. If it's too narrow at the end, he'll just splinter it and destroy it. You want something that will probably outlast the dog. They're very, very durable. It might smell for a couple days, and after a couple days, it won't smell anymore. Also get Nilo bones. Nilo bones are very rigid plastic toys. They come in different flavors. So I get ones that are like barbecue or bacon. The chicken one, be careful because that tastes like everything. But basically, come in different shapes and sizes as well. I have one that looks like it's circular, almost like a donut. I have one that's a letter Y. I have some that look like dinosaurs and forearms and different stuff like that. Having a variety will really help. Get them on Chewy or Amazon. They're cheaper there. And also get some real bones. He's got real bones, but again, giving him multiple options. Dogs, when they're bored or stressed, they like to chew. Giving him appropriate things will really help. Now, I talked earlier about the drop it and trading with equal or greater value. That would be edible dog items, like bully sticks. I like to give you bully sticks from the Natural Dog Company. Those are odor-free. Other ones, they'll kind of smell when you smell them, and they'll smell after your dog's eaten and when it comes out of your dog. So get the odor-free ones. Don't give more than one a day. You can give them bully bites or bully pieces, but the bully sticks are about 6 inches. The bully pieces are kind of random ones. So keep one of those, you know, again, if you have to trade equal or greater value, but if you have a guest or somebody comes over, that's a great way to distract the dog. Do you guys use Kongs?
I don't know.
Do you like peanut butter?
Yeah.
Okay, so most dogs like peanut butter.
Yeah, where you put them in the
Yeah, so Kong looks like a kind of a beehive. Most humane societies in the country fill them up with peanut butter and then they freeze them. And when they put the dogs in the kennels at night, they give each dog a Kong. When a dog kills something, it doesn't eat the whole thing. It usually tears a hole and then pulls the flesh out. The Kong kind of satiates that primal hunting behavior. So the dog's just gonna sit there. The first couple of times, don't freeze it, just let him have it and lick the peanut butter. And fill the whole thing up. You're looking at it and you're like, there's no way he's gonna get the peanut butter at the bottom. He will. Now, if he likes these things or something that has a really strong scent, you might want to drop one of those at the bottom of the Kong. There's a hole at the bottom so he can smell that meat. Then fill it up with peanut butter. And eventually, like I said, you can start freezing them. That's a nice way to keep him preoccupied. And then the edibles, I like bully sticks, I like kneecaps, I like tracheas, I like chicken, duck, and turkey feet. I like duck's head, cow's ears, codfish skin. There's a lot of different things like that you can get at higher end pet stores. So I would go and get, maybe once a month, get about, get an assortment of them. That way you have some of those things, especially if mom is here and the baby's not cooperating, she can throw down one of those things and it's gonna preoccupy the dog temporarily where she can do what she needs to do. Distracting dogs is the name of the game. All right, he does not come very well. And I asked the Guardians what the rule was, or what the word was, and I had heard different versions of the word. So I would recommend that the family change to exclusively saying the word here. Now I'm gonna show you how to do passive training in a minute, but right now I wanna talk about how you teach a dog to come with a hear or a recall exercise. So what I would do is I would have all the members of the family sitting on the floor. You can actually sit on the couch too, but you wanna make a circle here in the living room. Each person has like 3 to 5 of these really high value treats. Probably the Chipotle chicken would be what I recommend, and microwave it so it's warm. And then basically mom or dad get to say who's in charge. When one person's in charge, they point at whoever's gonna call. So we only have one person calling the dog at a time. Now a little bit of the science of the hand. For a dog, the lower you go, the more the treat is for the dog. The higher it is, the less the treat's for the dog. I expect a dog to sit when it comes to me. So what I do is if somebody points to me, it's my turn to call the dog. Before I call the dog, I pull out a treat, I put it on my hand with my hand flat, with my fingers curled slightly so the dog cannot see what I have in my hand. And then basically I say the dog's name to get his attention, and when he looks at me, then I say the word here. If he doesn't start coming, then I start lowering it, literally go all the way to the floor if you have to. Sometimes you have to go extend towards the dog and make a kissing sound like, usually when you lower it, the dog starts coming towards you. When the dog gets pretty close to you, then I raise it over the head in an arcing fashion. That will put, as the dog's head goes up to track it, eventually he'll put his butt down to sit. As soon as he sits, lower it, let him lick it off your hand, and then tickle him under the chin. And say the word here and only the word here. So he really is going to hear the word twice once he knows a command. Yeah, they're just going outside, buddy. So basically, and then the person's in charge would point to the next person. That person would say here, and then when he comes, we raise it to put it over him in an arc, to put him in a sit, and then we give him the treat. Now, once he comes and starts sitting in front of you, you don't have to raise it up. Just hold it out. Don't avoid calling him and saying it over and over again. At first, when we're doing this, everybody's within about 7 feet, so it's really easy. He's just like, I just go to the next person, get the tastiest treat I've ever had, and the same and same and same. Don't do it in a row, so he never knows who's gonna call him. Now, if he comes to me and somebody else is the one calling him, or he comes to me and I give him the treat, because I called him, and then somebody else calls him, he stays with me, what I do is I cross my arms, I look up, and I hold still, and I ignore him. I wanna become boring. Then the other person would make the kissing sound, and when he looks, start lowering their hand, and we need to teach him, you need to go who calls you, not whoever you think has more treats. Now, once he kind of has a little bit of a bouncing step, and he's coming quicker and quicker for everyone there. Hey, buddy. Rocky. Yo, Rock. Boy, are you tired. Yeah, buddy. You're going to get to sleep a long time today after this, yes. So basically, once we get to the point where he's coming to anybody in the house, anybody in the circle right away the first time we call him, then we have somebody come outside the circle over here. And everybody else is in the circle. Then we have somebody over there in the kitchen, the chair by the stairs. Then somebody sitting over there on the computer. And so we gradually make him come further and further to us until he'll pretty come up, down, upstairs, downstairs, wherever, because here means just go to the person and get a really tasty reward. Once you get to the point where you do that, then you want to do it outside. And when you do it outside, you want to shrink down that circle again because we're going to make it easier, more proximate, and more intense. Now, if he's interested in chasing squirrels or rabbit, that's not a good time to practice. Let him go out and have a good time sniffing and get all that stuff out, so when he comes over to you, he's able to focus on you. And then practice again with everyone at 7 feet, and then we make the circle a little bit bigger, and gradually it gets big enough to the point where he'll come across the yard to whoever calls him. Now, there's other things that we can do to get our dog to come. A lot of times when we ask the dog to come, we're asking the dog to come at a time where it represents the end of fun for the dog. And after enough repetitions, the dog will just stop coming. So there's some other ways that I like to teach a dog to come. One of the ways is what I call the bump. I take a high value training treat, or in his case, maybe the Chipotle chicken. This little eye booger just is sticking on me everywhere. And I put it in my hand like that, and I close my hand in a kind of a loose fist. And then I ask, and I do this when the dog's like this close, and I hold my hand out like to him and say, bump. Now, he'll come to investigate with his nose, and he's gonna touch his nose to your hand. As soon as the dog touches his nose, flip it over, and then there's the treat, and he licks it up, and then you were gonna say the word bump. And I would have like 3 people doing this. And when you're doing the circle for here, make sure there's at least 3 people. If there's only 2, he'll go back and forth. And then basically the same rules for that other exercise, and the person says, okay, you're gonna say bump. They hold your hand out, and as soon as he touches it, you flip your hand over and he gets the treat. My dogs, I go bump, and they'll run across the yard and smash their nose into my hand to get that treat. It's a fun, alternative way of getting your dog to come. It's a different command word, it's a different motion, but the reward is the same. And then the last one that I do is a touch targeting exercise. And this one might be one that you might want to, if I don't have it linked in the write-up that I've done for you guys, please message me and I'll add it in there so that you guys can watch it. Basically for the bump, what I do is, or for target, excuse me, what I want to do got a little Lego arm over here. It's important stuff. Is I hold out my hand like, and I want to do it within about 2 inches of the dog's face. Now, dogs' eyes are attracted to movement. So if his head is here, what I want to do is take my hand, and I have a treat in this hand and no treat in this hand. And this is the dog's head for this example. So as soon as the dog, I flash my hand and I do it diagonally. Don't do it up and down like this and don't have it flat. Go like this. And as soon as if we do an inch of it, he's going to like lean towards it or look at it. As soon as he does that, you're just going to wait. And eventually when he puts his nose on it, you're going to take your hand for the other treat, keep this hand in place, and put the treat there and let him lick it off and say the words touch or target. Then I usually put my hand behind my back. Now I have the treat in this hand. Dog's head is here. I flash my hand here and make it a flashing movement. I have a karate chop. And if he doesn't go with it within a second or two, he'll pull it away and flash again. But keep it within about 2 inches of his face. And as soon as he turns and touches it, put the treat here with this hand. So your target hand, the one you chop with, once you chop, you leave it frozen. The dog goes to it, and then you touch and give a treat. You can actually use this to say touch or target, and your dog will run across the room, kind of like the bump or the here, and then to get that hand. I also use this when I want to manipulate my dog. I don't like manhandling a dog, so if I want my dog to turn around and he has a touch, I would go like this. His head goes here, and I can turn him whichever direction I want to go. It's just a nice way of alternatively calling your dog, but also repositioning your dog. If it's in the wrong position, you might take a picture or whatever it is. And again, I have a video for that, so please message me if I don't have it linked above. Let me see. His name is Rocky. My dog's name is Quest. When Quest is doing something I don't like, I call him Rufus. A lot of us, we use our dog's name in negative or corrective capacity, and that makes the dog want to come to us less. So if we come up with a name like Rufus or some relative we don't like or whatever it is, and I say sit, and he doesn't sit, I say Rufus, my dog sits down right away. He knows he's about to get in trouble. So you would use that the same way that mom would use our middle name if we're about to get in trouble for something. Let me see, mealtime. I have a video for this as well, so message me if you can't remember. But what I do is I would put, right now he's free fed, and that takes away motivation to eat, as well as a great opportunity for the humans to demonstrate that we are the leaders. It's the most important activity for dogs. So go over there, have something that the human who's feeding him can snack on first. And I would make this in a chore that all the children in the house feed a different meal. So that way I feed my dogs 3 times a day. 2 or 3 times a day is what you're looking for. So if it's Bobby's turn to feed, Bobby goes, grabs a chip or cracker or whatever it is, put it near the bowl, then grab a bowl, a cup of food, and cascade it, not super high, but about this high off the bowl so he hears the da-da-da-da as it goes in the metal bowl. Then he's not allowed to eat. Now it'd be nice if Bobby ate his actual meal, but if not, he could just eat something at 5 or more bites as a chip, a cracker, a piece of carrot, something crunchy preferably. So the dog has to watch the human eat something first. And then you're going to use kind of the same technique that I described in the leadership exercise to block him from getting to his food. I'm guessing he probably won't really care because right now the food is there all the time. No big whoop. Well, once Bobby finishes eating, then Bobby's going to go over to the bowl and make a kissing sound, and then tap, and then that's going to invite him over. If he comes over and looks at it, he's now on the clock. He has 3 minutes. But as soon as he walks away, I pick up the bowl, I dump it empty, and I put the empty bowl back on the ground. It's important to put the empty bowl back on the ground. The dog will usually come and lick the empty bowl. Well, what's up? What happened to food? Well, when you walk away, you're saying that I'm not hungry, and the food goes away. When he does take his first bite of food, use passive training, which I'll talk about in a minute, and come up with a command word to eat. I would have all the kids in the house come up with a word that they like and tell mom and dad at dinner, or mom and dad make the final decision. Maybe we say it's comida, or pizza, or sushi, or the name of your favorite restaurant. I say grub, chow, and feast for my dogs, but a fun word preferably. And as something else I'd like the guardians to do is come up with a list of the official command words. And if somebody's saying come here, and the word is come, or actually here now, we'd say vocabulary. That person stops and says here. And when the dog comes, we pet it and say here, and just here, not good here, not the dog's name. And we say vocabulary to help each other only use one word as opposed to whole different words for the vocabulary. That makes it just easier for him to remember. And preferably come up with fun command words. If I want my dog to do this, I say crash, not lay down. And so if you come up with fun command words, chill means this, or I have one client in my puppy class, dump means go potty, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. These fun command words make people smile. Dogs can read facial expressions. It motivates the dog to want to do this. And then when kids come over, kids' friends come over, they have the dog with the cool command words. All right, so for mealtime, when he takes his first bite of food, say grub, chow, feast, pizza, whatever it is, just one word every time he takes his first bite for 2 months. After 2 months, you can say pizza, and he'll go over and know that means I get to go eat some food. All right, for the dog bed. This is, they call it go to your bed, and this is kennel. He goes to the kennel pretty well. But to teach a dog to go to the dog bed, all I do is I toss a treat onto the dog bed. When the dog licks it up, I say the word of whatever the dog bed is. And I let the dog walk away, I toss it in. I do about 10 treats. Then I wait for the dog to go away, and I leave a treat on the dog bed. I prefer dog beds that are light cream, light gray, or white because dogs are colorblind, and it's hard for them to see a dark colored treat on something like this because it's their color cues. And so what I would do is leave one there and then wait when he's away and just sit there and watch. Don't say anything. When he licks it up, I would say beach or whatever the name for that particular dog bed. And each dog bed should have its own designation. That way he understands that beach means to go to the dog bed in the living room. Cabo means to go to the dog bed upstairs and so on and so forth. You can do the same thing here if you need to, but he already goes in here fine. And the Guardians did a great job with this. He doesn't have a problem going in the kennel, which is good. He should never use it as punishment, and he should never be in here for longer than 4 hours. Let's see. All right, so I consider petting a dog our way of paying the dog. I went through my petting with a purpose philosophy with the humans, which is basically means I'm not going to pet the dog when he tells me he wants attention or asks for attention unless he does something to earn it first. So we make him sit. If he's already sitting, make him sit over here or lay down or do something different, change his state. And then as soon as he does, I pet him under his chin. I say just the word sit or just the word crash or whatever the one word command is. And then I can pet him as long as I want after that. Now, if I just want to pet him, he's not initiating or asking for attention. I just tell him to sit and then I pet him after that. So he still has to earn that affection. Now, boxers are called boxers because they like to use their front paws. But if he paws at us and we pet him, that can confuse him into thinking that he has more authority with us than he does. So we want to make sure that if he paws at us, we tell him to sit, that he sits, and then we're rewarding a desired action or behavior. We're going to say paycheck if we think that somebody's petting without a purpose. You come in the room and somebody sees someone petting the dog when he's standing, we say paycheck. That person has to stop petting. Cannot say anything. Stop petting, tell him to sit. When he sits, pet him under his chin, say the word sit, and then say, Dad, I asked him to sit before he came in the room. You just missed it, and I kept on petting him. But don't argue about it. Make sure it gives you another opportunity to practice it again. Now, the other flip side of this is what I call passive training. And passive training is basically rewarding the dog when it voluntarily offers you the behavior that you want. A lot of us train our dogs to misbehave. The dog steals a shoe and we chase it. Well, that's the quickest way to get our attention. Well, if you're petting with a purpose, we're teaching them, no, these other ways are a great way to get our attention. But we can also train the dog to do these things on their own. So since come is such a problem with the family, I'd like to make sure that's a priority. Every time he comes to anybody in the family, we want to pet him and say, here, and give him a nice little attention. And so he's just like, man, here just means I get this personal massage. But we're doing it when he wants to come on his own. He's a 1-year-old. He's kind of going to be willful at times. There's times where I don't want to come here. Well, so we take all of that baggage out of the equation. Every time he comes to us, we just pet him and say, come. He already did it. He wanted to do it. We take away that defiance or whatever you want to call it, spunk. And so I usually say testify for that or recognize or reward, whatever word you want to use. But if I'm sitting on the couch and he walks up to me and somebody else sees it and I missed it, they say testify to me. I look at the dog and whatever he's doing, I pet and say just that command word. If he's standing, I assume he came and pet him and say here. If he's sitting next to me, I pet him and say sit, lays down and pet him and say crash. Again, we're going to reward him for the desired actions and behaviors the same way we raise kids. The more that the kid knows that if I clear the table, I'm going to get the allowance that our cameraman wants. Well, maybe if he starts clearing the table on a regular basis, maybe he finds a little something or something. You never know. But basically now they have, he has more motivation to do the things that we want, and the things that we don't want don't work anymore. All right, now to give the kids a little bit of motivation to want to do that, because motivation is important for everybody. We just got done talking about an allowance. Well, another motivation for kids is often chocolate. So for petting with a purpose, what I do, I have a woman who did this and she did a great job of it. She had a chart next to the dinner table. And what she did is we got a little jar for each one of the kids and she wrote the kid's name on it and the kids got to actually write their name on it, put whatever decorations they want on it. And then basically every time that they petted with a purpose, they went and told mom, and mom would take an M&M or a Mike and Ike or whatever it is and put it in that kid's jar. Now, if the kid did something that wasn't allowed, like trying to entice the dog to come away, this should be a safe zone for the dog. On the dog bed or the kennel, the dog's in here, the kid shouldn't be able to ask the dog to come out or entice him to come out. We want him a safe place to go if he needs a nap like he does now. But if the kid pets with a purpose or enforces one of the rules, goes and tells mom and dad, they take an M&M, put it in the jar. At the end of the day, all the kids grab the jars, put it on their dinner table, dump it down, count up the number of M&Ms or whatever it is, and then they get to have those as a dessert or snacks the next day. Or some families will do a special dessert for that one person. Or maybe if you get the most M&Ms, then you don't have to do chores the next day. So again, we create a motivation for the kids to want to do the things that we want. The more that dogs need the repetition, consistency, and good timing. So the more we pet them with a purpose to do these things, the more the dog's going to want to do those things. And the more the kids are going to want to do it, because like me, the kids like chocolate. And then the woman that did it, she has 5 kids. What she did was she actually, at the end of the week, whoever had the most didn't have to do chores that weekend. And whoever had the most at the end of the month got to have 2 friends come over for a overnight pizza party and go see a movie. And one of her kids, when it got a little bit older, the M&Ms weren't so much of a motivation, so she made a chit system. So you know what? You want to go on the ski trip with your friends? You're going to have to get 700 M&Ms in the next 3 months, or whatever it is. Now that kid has a motivation to continue doing this, and now the dog's going to learn a lot faster and respect all the members of the family. So some of those things should be the kids should take turns feeding the dog. The kids should also take turns exercising the dog. Mom is really busy in the morning and she's got to get 5 kids ready to go. Well, if one of the kids, one of the daily chores is to go to the top of the stairs before he's ate breakfast, get some of the chimole chicken or whatever it is, throw the treat down the bottom of the stairs, the dog runs down the stairs and licks it up, and then comes back up and does 10 or 15 of those. We burn off that excess energy early in the morning where the kids can help, and then they get an M&M for them, or whatever it is. Okay, so let me see. We also I want to talk about 2 last things and we'll wrap this one up. We also talked about the importance of rules and structure. Rules are important because dogs probe to determine where boundaries and limits are, but also who the leaders are. The leaders are who are enforcing the rules. If we don't enforce rules or are not consistent about enforcing rules, it confuses the dog. So some of the rules we suggest are not being allowed on the furniture for 30 days or as long as the problem's going on, and it has to be 100% of the time. So order those X mats so you can put on the couch and this chair, since that's the favorite place, so the dog doesn't have the ability to go up there. It just won't want to. So the dog has to sit before we let it in and out of the door. And go to the door and say, sit once. The dog doesn't sit, walk away, sit down. It's important to sit. Wait 1 minute, ask a timer. And then after 1 minute, go back and tell him to sit again. If he doesn't sit this time, I'll walk away for 2 minutes, then for 4 minutes, then for 8 minutes. I keep on doubling length of time until when I say sit, he sits, and boom, that door opens up. So he learns after a while, if I want to go outside, I go sit at the door, and that's a good way to ask the humans to go outside. We've taught our dogs manners. Make sure the dog does not run out a door ahead of a human. Dogs, whoever's in front is perceived to be the leader, whoever's behind is perceived to be the follower. Same thing with stairs. If you notice he's going up and down the stairs ahead of you, maybe teach him to stay or a wait command, go to the top of the stairs and then call him up. If you want to teach your dog to stay, message me. I have videos I can share with you and show you how to do that as well. Other rules, not being allowed within 7 feet of anyone's eating. So no dog allowed in here when anybody's eating a snack in this little area, on the carpeted area. Not being allowed maybe between the carpet and the work island when their kids are eating here. Not allowed in the L shape around in the kitchen when we're preparing food. Not allowed within 7 feet of the table when we're eating dinner. Now we're going to use basically the escalating consequences when I went over. Stand up or hiss, stand up and turn to face the dog, and then marching directly at the dog are the 3 escalating consequences. If you forgot how to do those, message me. I have a video for that as well. But practice that leadership exercise that I showed you guys in the video above, because that will help everyone practice. And I would have everybody in the family practice that in a row. So start with dad, then mom, and then our cameraman, and go in the order of age for the kids. By the time you do it, the last one, our little 5-year-old should be able to do it because the dog's kind of on muscle memory. And try to get to the point where you can have that dog delaying, as I talked about in the video. If that video is not sufficient enough, please message me. I have other videos that are a little bit lengthier that can show you how to do that. Let me see. And then we can also, for these rules, help the dog warm up or practice before we do it. Before we eat our actual meal, set the table like we normally do. Microwave a piece of roast beef. Have everybody sit at the table, cut it up into little pieces, put it on everybody's plate, and pretend like we're eating. Anytime the dog violates that 7-foot boundary, whoever's close gets up and marches at the dog using that 3rd consequence. And eventually the dog will learn, man, it doesn't matter who I try to go to, they're all Watusi. None of them will allow me within the table. Then you get the dog sitting or lying down around the table. Then you put the roast beef away and you serve your actual meal. You just did a warm-up. Same thing for the kitchen. Just microwave a piece of bacon and then pretend like you're cooking. And when he lies down beyond the boundary, then you can start the actual cooking process. Okay, the last thing is he has probably because of the breeder, he has a bad habit of pooping on the asphalt, right, on the porch. And Dad is not a big fan of that, understandably why. So the great thing is it's easy to potty train a dog to go to a specific place. It takes a little bit of practice, and this could be something where maybe the kid earns 5 M&Ms for doing this. So what I do is I go to the designated area that I want the dog to potty. Well, actually, before that, does he have a word to potty? Or we talked about this earlier? Okay. So we want to make sure that we can say potty, and he goes like this if he needs to go. The way I teach a dog to potty is I go outside with it. When it starts to pee or poop, I say the word potty, or whatever the word is, once, within him starting. And be careful not to say it too excited. Then as soon as he gets done, I pop a treat in his mouth, again, a treat that he likes, and I say the word potty a second time. After you do that enough, you say potty, and like I said, he'll be animated. The next step is, once we have that achieved, is I put him on a leash and I take him to the area outside that I want him to potty at. It should be away from the house, and have a treat with him and with you. Go out there at the times that he's apt to need to potty. The times he's apt to need to go are right after waking up, 5 minutes after eating, and 15 minutes after playtime. Those are the times they're most apt to need to go. So after those 3 times, we take him outside on a leash to the designated area. Even though this is a fenced-in area, we want to control where he goes. When he goes there, we're just gonna, and he goes potty, we're gonna say the words like I said earlier, and give him a treat. And we're gonna do that every time. Well, I'd say every time he goes out would be ideal, but as often as you can for about a week or 2. After about a week or 2, then what you're gonna do is, when it's potty time, you're gonna go grab 5 treats. Make sure they're hot Chipotle chicken treats, and they're microwaved. Let him know that you have him. Walk out, or he'll probably smell them anyways. Go to the area and call him with you. And now he's in a habit of going to that same area to potty because you took him there on a leash for like 2 weeks. Now, if he potties anywhere in that 5-foot area of where he was going before, you give him 5 of the Chipotle chicken. And say, whatever the word is, potty. Wait for him to get done chewing, potty, do him 5 treats in a row. We call this a jackpot. We want him going, what did I just do? I just got the mother load of treats. I got to remember what I did so I can do this again. If he goes anywhere else in the yard, he gets 1 treat. If he potties on the porch, he doesn't get any treats. And so now we're giving a motivation to go to this specific place. This is easier to do when they're puppies, so it probably take a little bit more practice than an adult, but I've had several clients where their dog now only poops and pees in a little 5-foot area in their yard. Makes cleaning it up a heck of a lot easier, and also you don't have to worry about stepping on it when you go out the front porch. All right, now if you have any questions, there's things that we didn't go over. I didn't get to really work with him as much as I wanted because he's just so exhausted. So if you have questions and things are not working, you can always shoot me a video of what's going on or call me. It's very normal for me to make quick little phone calls or text messages in the weeks after the session. But I had one guy call me 7 years after I worked with him. I want you to reach out to me. I don't charge for that. You have backup, but if I don't hear from you, I assume that means everything's going great. So if you have any questions, don't delay. Message me right away. I'd rather you get you corrected on the right away than have you practicing the wrong way and maybe need to set up a follow-up session. All right, well, this is Rocky. Yes, you high-energy, crazy boxer. And this is Rocky's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.